All right, everybody. Welcome to the Stop and Listen podcast, where no shits are given and it's always beer 30. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, if it wasn't always beer 30, you'd probably give a shit. And you'd be wrong. I've been this way since birth. Not that I don't care about your opinion, but if you don't like my opinion, that's okay. You can walk away. I don't care. It does not bother me if my opinion bothers you. So anyway, and got some new exciting headgear here. Got some new headphones, and I saved this for all you techie guys that may be watching this. I know y'all get turned on by this, so I'll let y'all get to experience this with me. That's right, guys. We're going to take the plastic off these headphones. Are you guys ready? Here we go. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, man. I know this is turning some of y'all on. Look at this. Look. Huh. That's right. We got two sides to this thing. Maybe if I can get it off. Look at that. I'll do it slow for you. Goodness. Get that out of the way. Hope y'all enjoyed that little teaser, guys. Anyway, so let's jump right into this. We're going to call this episode 8. And we're going to call this Stories with the Wife. So, in fact, actually this weekend, me and the wife, we're going to make a little road trip up to Virginia, which is about 5 hours north here from us. And going to look at a truck. May get it, maybe not. Doesn't matter. Whatever. It'll be a fun little road trip. But I told my wife, I said, "You looking forward to it?" She said, "Well, to be honest with you, no." And I was like, "Well, I thought you liked road trips." And her answer was, "There's no such thing as a road trip with you when we're going to look at trucks." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" She said, "Well, normally you want to get there as fast as you can, so we don't even get to eat anywhere decent." She's like, "Oh, look at this restaurant. Look at this place." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, fuck it. We'll go to Burger King or whatever." And once I get there and look at the truck, I spend about an hour there, and then I'm ready to shoot it back home. And so it's not really a road trip with me. We refer to it as kind of a road race. Rightfully so, because I like to be at home, and, you know, who doesn't? Jeez. So, anyway, but speaking of the wife and her personality, and she watches this, so don't worry, I'm not going to get in trouble. She'll find some entertainment out of this. So, about a couple of months ago, oh, yeah, and I forgot. We are mixing it up tonight, mainly because all the stores around here are out of Coors Light because, well, y'all know Bud Light is a piece of shit now for many reasons, but we'll go with their political reasons for right now. So I had to switch it up to Miller Lite. Still love you, Coors, but you're sold out. Thanks to Bud Light being such a terrible drink now. So wet the wetter whistle with some. I'll tell you what, Miller Lite. To be a light beer, it's pretty hoppy. It's not bad if you want to buzz quicker. This is the thing to do it. So anyway, about a couple of months ago, we were invited. My grandma actually had some family that had found her through, I guess, Ancestry.com or whatever, and wanted to do a family reunion at a local steakhouse. So we go. We were invited and didn't really want to go. Had all 4 of my kids. It was going to be kind of aggravating because I didn't know these people, and I don't really like people in general anyway. That's why I'm sitting here by myself doing a solo podcast and not doing interviews. So anyway, we go to this restaurant, and everybody there their nose is so far up in the air because they think they're better than everybody, and y'all can tell I'm pretty low-key. So anyway, we get there, and kind of mingle, talk with a couple people that I did actually know. The other people, whatever, they just kind of stared at me trying to figure out who this tatted up guy was ruining and crashing their family reunion. Little did they know, I was blood, so they had to claim me. I was on the family tree chart they had there. So anyway, this was so typically when you go to a restaurant or you have a big get-together, I think we can all agree that normally they give you 3 or 4 menu items. You pick the items, and that way they know kind of what they need to cook for the party versus having an open menu. Well, they didn't do that on this one. thanks to these hoity-toity family members that thought they had all their shit under control, it was an open menu. And keep in mind, there had to have been 60 people here, give or take 10. I don't know. So imagine 60 people ordering at one time on an open menu. Yeah, exactly. It's going to take hours. So I told my wife, we had our kids there, and of course they're getting hungry, and they said, well, we won't let everybody start ordering until about 5:30. Well, at this point, it's like 4:45, so we were waiting probably about another half hour, 45 minutes or so to order. And so we're sitting there, and I got to thinking, I said, I'm going to go talk to this waitress over here and see if I can go and put my order in now and just kind of beat the rush. Because, again, I didn't want to be here anyway. So I go talk to the waitress. Well, there was two of them. 2 for 60 people, right? So another just terrible idea. So I go up to them, talking to them, and they said, I said, can I go ahead and place an order for my kids at least? Because, they're starving. And, if y'all have children that are under the age of 10 especially, y'all know when they're ready for something, they want it right then. There's no trying to explain to them, 30 more minutes. They start losing their shit pretty quick. We didn't want that. So I asked the lady, can I go and place the order? And she's like, well, no, we told the lady that was over this that, we'll take everybody's order starting at this time. And I was like, okay, well, if you can, do me a favor, come to my table first. I don't think I was being unfair. I think I was playing the game pretty smart. I was like, I'm going to beat the rush and get my order first and maybe get the hell out of here a lot quicker. So order the food, or she said no, basically. So they start ordering. Lady, she comes straight to our table first. Of course, there was 2 of them, so they tackled it from end to end. So was I first? Kind of. I was the first of 30 instead of 60. So she takes her order, and is I'd say a high-end steakhouse. It's like if you're from the South, kind of especially the Southeast area, we had, if y'all were familiar with like old school steakhouses of like the 70s and 80s, that was this place. I mean, the interior looked the same, everything. So they take the orders, and I order my kids. I ordered like a burger. I wasn't that hungry anyway, so I ordered a burger. My wife ordered some type of little shrimp pasta thing, and the kids ordered basically pizza rolls or bagel bite things, to say the least. Basically what they were, except they were $10, which was ridiculous. So we order, and I've got some family sitting beside me that I was close with that was there. And they were, we were just kind of catching them, hadn't talked with them in a while. And they said, yeah, we got to get out of here in about an hour and a half. We got a concert to go to. And I was like, well, good luck with that. So they order their food, and this guy that I'm talking with, he's got a pretty decent job. He ordered about $100 worth of food. Well, we're sitting there, and about an hour goes by, and he's like, man, like I'm not even going to get my food. I just paid $100 for food, and I'm not even going to get it. So he orders the food. Or he asked the waitress. He said, "Is there any way I can go ahead? Can I get like in a to-go box? She's like, "Well, the food's not even done yet." He's like, "Okay, but I've got to get out of here." And she's like, "Well, we told the lady that was over this once again, whoever this lady was that was over in this family group, clearly was a dumbass and she was too busy talking instead of doing what she was supposed to do, like kind of organize it, kind of keep things going. So she was clearly doing a bad job at that, and." Even though they acted like they knew what they were doing. So anyway, he told me, he's like, look, man, just when the food comes out, y'all can take it home. So they ended up back. I don't think I took it home, but I ended up leaving because this is where the story's headed. So by this point, my kids are starving. They are pissed off, and they were being patient with me, but my kids understood like it was out of my hands, but at the same time, it was just taking way too long. So asked the waitress how much longer. She's in about 15 minutes. So 15 minutes come. Here come the food. She was right. Mind you, this had been, at this point, I think it had been 2 hours. And we had already been there for an hour, so we'd been at this place for 3 hours. And originally, the waitress I talked to, the 2 ladies, super nice. I mean, they were cool, easy to talk to. That changed real fast. So they bring out 3 of my children's meals. They all 4 ordered the same thing. And again, we're talking a pizza roll, a piece of flatbread with pepperoni, they called it a pizza stick. That's what they called it. So they brought out 3 of them. They brought my burger out, brought my wife's food out. my oldest son his food. Well, I say his food. They ordered the same thing, but I'd given the other three their food, thinking his was coming right out. He's more understanding, being older. So they, were starting passing other food, and then finally we asked the lady, it's like, my oldest son, we need his, his food, and it hadn't got here. She said, well, let me check on it. She leaves, goes to check on it, and come back, and she said, no, what did he order exactly? And right then I was like, oh, my God. I said, you mean to tell me I've been here for 2 hours and y'all didn't take his order down? That's basically what I took it as. And my wife was pretty perturbed because our kids are sitting there, they're starving. So she said, well, let me get the other waitress. She had been there longer, like a manager type or whatever. So she comes walking over and she's like, what's the problem? It's like, well, my wife's like, well, he's missing his food. And she's like, well, I told the lady that was over this that it could take a while for all these people. And then I kind of chimed in. I was like, well, they all ordered the same. I was being nice. My wife, she was being pretty nice, but she was getting aggravated, rightfully so. So anyway, they walk away. They come back. To be honest with you, I don't know if they ever even brought his food, but they come back over there asking for drinks, and they didn't even acknowledge the fact his food still hadn't got there. So my wife's like, we still have not got his food. And she's like, well, let me get the other lady again. So the lady comes over there, and she comes over there. I mean, she was pissed at us for some reason. I don't know why. So she comes up to us, and she said, what's the problem? And my wife's like, well, my son hasn't got his food yet. That's the problem. I said, everybody else has gotten their food. And the lady's like, well, if you didn't have such an attitude and quit yelling. And I remember thinking in my head, it's like, lady, you don't know what yelling is yet. She is not raised her voice yet, and you are about to see the inner Daytona circle come out of her, okay? So better watch yourself. My wife has been very patient. She actually given her food to my son because my son was starving. So we finally asked the lady, it's like, look, can we talk to the manager or the owner? Or it is the owner. That's what it was. Oh, these stories get my throat dry. Ooh. Anyway, so the lady said, well, she's busy upstairs right now. And it's like, well, it's clearly you can't help us, so we need someone that can handle this. And if the owner's the only person that can handle someone not getting their food, which is ridiculous, surely to God you have people working there that can handle a small, emergency like this. And anyway, so finally, my wife's like, well, we're not going to pay for it. And she said, well, you have to pay for it. You ordered it. It's like, well, we don't have it, and it's going on now 45 minutes. Everybody else got their food, and you're still claiming that one pizza thing was part of, you guys have to wait. It's like, no, it's the same fucking thing we ordered with the other meals. How can you sit there and tell me that these people have shrimp, pasta Alfredo, or steaks, all this, burgers, all this stuff, but for some reason a piece of bread with some pepperoni and cheese on it is just throwing your kitchen for a loop, even though y'all have already made 3 of them for the other kids. Surely to God you would bake all 4. Finally, the manager comes walking down, the owner of the restaurant, and she's standing probably about 30 feet from us, and she's got her hand on her hip, a little short, fat lady, had her hands on her hip, and she just real stern looks over at my wife. The waitress points, and the manager puts her hand on her hip like this and says, like, whatever, like we're fucking 5 years old or something. Surprisingly, my wife actually got up and went over there. I thought my wife was going to say, you can bring your ass over here. I'm the customer, and y'all are the one with the shitty service. And, anyway, so she actually walked over there. She was being calm. I think probably because she was getting delirious because she hadn't eaten in a while. So she walks over there, and the manager, I could hear that I was sitting at the table with the kids still. And remind you, there's a lot of people at this point watching what's going on. And so finally I could tell that the lady wasn't listening to my wife at all. She was basically saying, you're going to pay. It's not my problem. So I get up at this point, not to intimidate, just to kind of, back my wife up. So I get over there, and I tell the lady, I kind of stopped their conversation because it wasn't getting anywhere. It was just 2 women yelling at each other at this point. And I said, look, lady, my problem is, I said, we didn't get the food. And then she started in the same damn story as the waitress. Like, well, we told the lady that's over this. Like, again, I'm fine with that story. The problem I've got with this story now is the food that my other 3 children got, the 4th one didn't get. It's a piece of bread with cheese. If your kitchen staff can't handle that, you need to think about hiring another cook. Bottom line. So anyway, she didn't like that. It kind of pissed her off, right? Which I knew was going to push her button. Well, she looks at me and she's like, "Sir, no need to yell." And I was like, "Well, no, I'm not yelling." I said, "I promise you, if I was yelling, you would know and there'd be cops here." I said, "I'm not yelling." I said, "I'm just trying to figure out why I am expected to pay." Where she's like, "Well," and the waitress was standing there at this point. And also, she's like, "Well, I'll put it in a to-go box for her." I was like, "We don't want it in a to-go box. Everybody's eating. This whole event is almost over with." And at this point, we've got everybody staring at us, and we're making a big scene. Like I said, we're there with a bunch of snobby people. And, again, me and my family, we're very low-key. So the lady, she finally said, she's, granted, she's little. I'm a big dude, so maybe it was intimidating to her. But she come... she told me to quit yelling at her or whatever, which I wasn't yelling. You would know if I was yelling. So, anyway, we, and for those of y'all who are, pause the story here for a second. If y'all notice, the story goes and kind of stops for a little bit. I should have mentioned this in the beginning of the story. If you're not watching the video version of this and you're watching on the audio only, I'm sipping beer as I pause. It's not like we got audio problems. I'm just, this podcast is all about keeping your whistle wet with some cerveza. So anyway, we back to the story. So finally, the lady, she said, she's like, "I don't understand what the problem is. You guys don't have to pay for it." And I was like, "All right, wait a minute. You mean to tell me we've been arguing this whole time only for you to agree with what I originally asked for over 30 minutes ago?" I said, "We just want our bill and pay, but I just don't want to pay for the one meal we didn't get." She's like, "Well, how about this? How about you just pay the bill?" She's real condescending, like I'm some kind of dumbass. She's like, "Well, how about I just take care of the entire bill and y'all just leave my restaurant?" And I was like, "Oh, that's fine." I wasn't even going to argue with her. I'd offered to pay multiple times already for the meal that we did get. And she had kind of been an ass enough that I was like, well, I was going to offer to pay, and I made this clear. But if you're telling me to leave, and you're going to take care of it. But it wasn't like it wasn't like she did the right thing in the way that you would think, like, oh, man, they took care of their mistake. They got everything fixed. It wasn't anything like that. It was one of those, like, her pride got in her way. And I think she realized when she left that she missed out on probably $100 or whatever the food was. But it's just funny, I was talking about my wife making fun of me for about road trips and, how she gets not a temper, but, like she's strong-willed. And that all that had reminded me of that story. And it's just crazy that look, I don't work a job where I deal with the public a lot. But I don't think you have to understand how to work with the public. You just respect one another. I understand people get bent out of shape. Trust me, I get bent out of shape, and there's times that I would love to just throw hands with somebody. But you don't have to do that. That can be avoided. Walk away from the situation, whatever. And it was just, I don't know. Like, and again, my wife, she wants to be that inner Daytona Circle. You know what I mean? If y'all know what I'm talking about, like, oh, rough and rowdy, she can be that way. And I just thought it was funny. Wildly enough, what was funny, we were getting ready to leave, and of course, at this point, everybody's watching us, and they thought we were about to like pull guns or something. I don't know. It was insane how everybody's kind of pointing the finger at us. But we're walking upstairs, and we had done a job in a town not too far from us, the company I work with, and there was a man and a woman we did a job for. The lady had cancer, or she was in remission of it or whatever. Super nice people. We gave them some T-shirts from the company and whatever, and real cool people. And they recognized me when we were walking out. They said, "You don't remember us, do you?" And I was like, "Nah." I said, "I remember you guys. See, y'all were I enjoyed doing work with y'all. They were a real sweet couple, probably in their mid-late 50s." And they said, "This is our first time ever coming here." And I started laughing. I was like, "Well, good luck." And he's like, "Uh-oh." I was like, "Yes." And I had to get a little rowdy with the waitresses downstairs. But don't worry, that was part of a big family group. And it looks like you'll be upstairs, so you should be fine. So Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap this story up. I appreciate you guys watching. Remember, this is the Stop and Listen podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and we'll catch you next time.